Good morning, everyone. As we are, Dulieu, my business is Essex Celebrants, and we create and deliver meaningful, unique, and personalised ceremonies to honour and celebrate life's milestone moments. They're moments about love, they're moments about loss, and they're moments about new beginnings. Whether it's welcoming a child with a naming ceremony, celebrating love through a wedding or vow renewal, or honouring the life of a loved one through a funeral or memorial event. Every ceremony we create is unique, and it's special as the people it's for. And love is at the heart of everything we do. Now, before I continue, I want to acknowledge that today I will actually talk about funerals and grief. I know this can be deeply personal. I know that it can be difficult for people. So if you do need to step out, or you do need to zone out for a while, then absolutely fine. Your well-being comes first. That said, I do hope that what I share with you today might be helpful, either now or in the future. Because while grief is something we all experience, how we process it and say goodbye makes a real difference. Now, I know talking about funerals first thing in the morning isn't exactly the British way, but we tend to avoid the subject at all times until we absolutely have to. It's a little bit like sex. We all know it's part of life. Most people hope to experience it at least once, but we don't exactly sit and discuss it over breakfast. But stick with me, because this isn't a sad story. It's about why I do what I do. It's about helping people make life's most important and often most difficult moments truly personal, meaningful, and special. As many of you know, I haven't always been a celebrant. My career began in accountancy, and after going to university in my late 20s, I moved into corporate communications, public relations, and investor relations, a field I've worked in for more than 3 decades. My job in corporate communications has been to help businesses tell their stories, crafting messages, engaging audiences, and making an impact. It's taken me from the Congo to Cologne, French Guiana to Felixstowe. It's been rewarding, it pays well, and I've met some incredible people along the way. I'm also really quite good at it. But if I'm honest, it was never my calling. It was something I rather fell into. What I do now, though, in my celebrantcy, is different. I feel like it is a calling. And in many ways, it's not that far removed from my previous work. Because instead of helping companies tell their stories, I now help people tell theirs at the most meaningful moments of their lives. So, why, you might be asking, did I become a celebrant? Why is my focus on funerals? Why would anyone choose to work with people at one of the hardest times of their lives around a subject that's so sad and that most people find difficult to talk about? Well, I come from a really large family on my mum's side, and I did a count up the other day, and I've attended more than 30 funerals of aunts, uncles, cousins, friends over my short life. And still counting. And many of those funerals, I'll be honest, were instantly forgetful. The people we were saying goodbye to were special. Funerals just followed the formula. They were respectful, yeah, but frequently they were just so impersonal, and I'm often left leaving these funerals thinking, that wasn't a personal moment. But 3 funerals in my life have shaped my belief in what ceremony should be, and have had a profound effect on me actually standing here today talking about my new business as a ceremony. The first was over 30 years ago. A close friend of mine, one of my best friends, who died in his early 20s, far too young. But his family created a service that absolutely encapsulated everything about him. Every word, every detail, every piece of music reflected who he really was. And even now, when I hear Tear Us Apart by INXS and Live Forever by Oasis, they stop me in my tracks and they take me back to that moment. And even now, talking about it, I get goosebumps. It's so powerful, the whole funeral. And it made me feel, it made me reflect, and it made me truly honour his life. It wasn't just mourning, it was celebrating the richness of a life, no matter how short it was. The second funeral that had a profound effect on me, as it will for many people, was when my father died. I had the honour of writing the eulogy on behalf of my family, designing the order of service, helping choose the music, and actually delivering a lot of the funeral service. It was one of the hardest but most rewarding and meaningful things I've ever done, because shaping a ceremony that truly reflected him, his personality, his values, his life, made the grieving process so much easier. It wasn't just about saying goodbye, it was about celebrating who he was. The third funeral was 3 years ago. It was my Auntie Marge. The celebrant delivered a service that was unlike any other that I've ever experienced. It was sad, yeah. It was also funny, it was emotional, and it came out of it really uplifting, thinking about a lady who had lived a life full of adventure and fun and love. And it was difficult to remain sad after that because the enduring memory of the last moment of hers was really uplifting. And at the wake afterwards, the atmosphere was vibrant. It was more like a wedding reception than it was a wake. And a lot of that was down to the fact that the celebrant really captured her essence in that service. And at that point, I thought this was a bit of an epiphany. I'd thought about this as a career change for quite some time, having done my dad's funeral and reflecting on my friend Dan's funeral. But that was the point. I thought, you know what, I can do this. I've got the skills to do exactly the same. I've written eulogies, I've planned a funeral service, and through my career, I've told stories for businesses through news releases, articles, blogs, and speeches. The difference now, though, is instead of telling stories about contract wins, convertible loan notes, and goodness knows what when it comes to corporate listed companies, I tell stories of love. The love for a partner, the love for a child, the love for a life well lived. When I decided to become a celebrant, I knew I wanted to do it properly. This isn't just about turning up and reading a script. Throughout my career, I've worked in professional environments. In my corporate communication career, it's about professionalism. It's about helping the company in a professional way. And I want to transfer that to what I'm doing with my service business. I want people to know that when they're dealing with me, whether it's an undertaker or whether it's a family, they can rely on me 100%. They're getting absolute professionalism. They're getting quality. So I signed up. I did lots and lots of research into training providers and organisations in the celebrity industry. It's an unregulated industry. You need no qualifications, you need no training, you need no experience to be able to say you're a celebrant. But I thought, no, I want to do it properly. So I did completed successfully a residential training course with the International College of Professional Celebrants, and I'm now a member of that. I'm also continuing my training by studying for formal qualification in civil celebrants. I'm committed to continually developing my skills and becoming one of the best, and to always ensure that the ceremonies and services I craft for families are professional, deeply personal, and truly meaningful. But why does this all matter? You're probably wrong. There's been an uplift, certainly since the pandemic, of what's called direct cremation. So somebody passes away, and rather than having a funeral service, a cremation takes place, and family receive the action, and they say, right, we'll have a memorial service at a later date. And there's been quite an uplift, and it's cheaper, and the cost of living crisis has emphasised this because it is a lot cheaper. Well, funeral isn't just about saying goodbye or saying the right words. It's about the people there feeling something. It's about connection. It's about meaning, and most importantly, it's about helping people process grief. Research shows that funerals and rituals around death are crucial to help grieve. A recent study published in the peer-reviewed academic journal Death Studies found that funerals help people acknowledge the reality of death, express their emotions, and receive community support, three essential elements in helping you successfully navigate grief. Conversely, when people don't have the chance to take part in these rituals and services, the grieving process becomes much harder. Research from the COVID-19 pandemic showed that restrictions on funerals, where only a few people could attend, led to increased cases of depression, post-traumatic stress, and something called prolonged grief, where the processing and the overcoming of grief and the dealing with grief became a much longer and more difficult and straining and protracted process. It turns out we actually need these rituals, we need these events, we need funeral services to remember, to celebrate, to come together and to start dealing with the grief process. They help us cope, they give us structure, they provide an opportunity for collective mourning and healing. They're a shared experience and we're creatures that benefit from shared experiences, and it's a shared experience about something very, very sad that can actually help us. And ultimately, they make our loss easier to deal with. This deep need for ritual and remembrance is beautifully captured in the following poem. It's called A Life Well Lived. A life well lived is a precious gift of hope and strength and grace from someone who has made our world a brighter, better place. It's filled with moments sweet and sad, with smiles and sometimes tears, with friendships formed and good times shared, and laughter through the years. And when the time has come to part, we hold on to these memories bright, to celebrate the life they live and keep their spirits in our sight. And that's what I help to do, and that's why I do what I do. At the end of the day, funerals aren't about how someone died, they're about how they lived. And people deserve to have their stories told in a way that honours them and in a way that helps those people that are mourning their loss. Helping families say goodbye to their loved ones is both a profound responsibility and a deep privilege. It's why I'm so passionate about this work and why I'll never take it for granted. Thank you for your time. If anyone has any questions, I'm very happy to answer them. And if you want to know more or you'd like a chat, either after the meeting or on the phone about brief about funerals, then I'm very happy to speak with you. Thank you.
Does a funeral, either in burial or have to take place in a particular area?
Funeral, unlike a wedding, anywhere as long as you've got the building or the landowner's permission. So you can have your funeral service here.
Right.
Obviously, they're all not shut for the day. But you can have
Even with a coffin?
yeah, with a coffin, you can have your funeral service in your back garden, you can have your funeral service in our golf club, the rugby club, your favourite pub, or whatever. You can have it anywhere as long as you've got building owner's permission. The burial is slightly different.
Yes. Well, we could have funerals by anodyne where there's explosions of smoke going off and going out the bed.
That's what I aim to do, which is give people exactly what they want. And when I mentioned in my 60 seconds, helping your family by telling them how you would like the funeral to be, that takes
Yes.
If you want fancy dress and a Caribbean steel band in your funeral service rather than music being played, absolutely fine.
Yes.
Terry.
Following up from what James did, are you prepared to travel to Magstone Peckham?
Okay.
Just asking for a friend.
I'll travel in.
Very good. Well, I'm just thinking that this conversation shouldn't really be after someone's died, when people are at their most emotional and full of, oh God, why didn't we ask what it you meant? And so it makes me think that a further service could be an evening, even with a light supper, discussing, because it could be light-hearted but genuine, and all sorts of things could get said that can't be said later. Would that be a possibility?
Absolutely. I've got a form that I can send to people, and it will be available on my website once I can get that up and running. Where you can download it, you can fill in the rough details you like, possible music you like, possible readings, whether you want it to be a religious service, uplifting, fancy dress, goodness knows what. And you can have it attached to your will. You can put it in an envelope and just let your family know where it is. Because even in my limited experience so far, those families that have an idea about what their loved one would have wanted find the whole planning process and the process around people so much easier than people that sit in the game and have no idea. So,
how do you a scenario? So I'm atheist, non-religious person. My wife is quite religious, and I wouldn't know the first thing to do how to manage a Catholic funeral, and several of them have much of an idea on a kind of humanist, non-religious funeral.
yeah.
How do you cross over and do you guide on getting that right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first and foremost, I'm not humanist. Humanist is effectively a religion about non-religion. So I'm sort of non-denominational. So if somebody comes to me, as they have, and say, right, well, my wife was Catholic, we didn't go to church, we like Catholic elements in the funeral, that's absolutely fine to do that. Someone could come to me and say, well, actually, they weren't religious at all, but they really like the idea of Buddhism. Can we have some Buddhist readings or prayers? Absolutely fine, can do that at all. So in what I create, I can incorporate all of that. you tend to find that somebody is Catholic who probably want a priest to do a funeral. I'm not a priest. But I could actually do a full Catholic mass as a funeral. It's not copyrighted, as long as the people understood that I'm not Catholic priest, and it's more the words and the sentiment rather than the actual service. But I mean, absolutely, the content of a funeral service can be a civil servant led funeral service. It can be anything we want. It can all be done in rhyme. It can be done in rap. I'm not very good at it. I like it. Like I said about people do have fancy dress funerals. One of my uncles had a civil servant led funeral, and the music he came into the chapel at the crematorium was the theme from Only Fools and Horses. It was his favourite. There's absolutely no limits within the realms of good taste. But I'm happy to guide anybody, and the fundamental thing for me is helping people through this difficult process of grief. And so I'm happy to talk to people, to guide them, even if I don't have to do the work, because it's something that's so important. It's something that it's easy to get wrong, and you can only do it once. You can't cremate somebody twice, you can't bury somebody twice. Sure, you can have a memorial service, but getting it right that first time is so important for your memories going forward about that person, because it's a defining moment in their life. When it's your father that dies, you grew up as a kid, that's a full stop, and that's the end point, and you remember the destination of things, you remember that end point of your life. So making that funeral service as perfect as it can be, with no regrets about, oh, we wish we did this, wish we did that, is an important factor.
Any more questions? Yes.
More of an observation, but it almost seems like you're a counsellor too as well, in a roundabout way.
I wouldn't consider myself a counsellor. People far better qualified and skilled in giving counselling. What I do is kind of helping guide people through that process of planning and through that process of thinking about this important event, which is fundamentally important in the grieving process. And I will guide people. If people seem to be struggling with and need additional support, I can guide them to sort of third-party agencies or third-party organisations. Really, my job is to hold their hand and guide them through that process of planning the funeral, so that when the funeral service is over, you almost see a sort of lifting of the weight, because they've said goodbye in exactly the way they wanted, the way their loved one wanted, and they can start moving forward.
Yes, so we're going to, well done.